guys, welcome to Clockwork. Noodles back for another breakdown of Shadow's House. This is episode number 2. Very excited to break it down with you guys and talk through the episode, show you some of my thoughts, things that I find interesting. Before we get going, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. We are aiming to hit 1k of subscribers by the end of the year. Can we do it? Can we do more interactive live events? There is a poll on the channel too. There's a section where I post things and you can keep up to date with what's going on the channel. There is a poll. If you go there, you can vote on what prop I next make on my cosplay page. And if you're not following the cosplay page and want to see what I'm doing creatively, you can also do that. There's a link on the YouTube as well. You get vote on what prop and what franchise you'd like to see me make next. Go and have a little peek and see what you think. Let's get back to it. We do get the full OP this time to dissect, and I'm so happy to get my teeth into it and actually see what's going on, because it's a very mechanical start. Everything is rigid, everything is ticking away. We've got time featuring quite heavily in this. We are working against the clock every single week now. Kate is traversing this mechanical maze. Shadow's house runs mechanically. Mechanicalness of it is supposed to be the world that she is trying to traverse and trying to break. When Kate eventually does break through, I think she goes through a mirror, or at least goes through the grandfather clock. She ends up in a beautiful colour world, a field of flowers, and that's when we see Emilico, and the two are very happy together, and we're away from maybe the house. A power couple together, so they are great allies when they are together. When she eventually finds Emilico, she is stronger. The world is also more colourful, so everything is happier again. There is a tease at the end of the hooded figure. Love it. Always impressed with the EDs or OPs when it comes to this show, because last season especially, they really took care in making sure the ED and the OP mimicked one another. Back into delving into what makes a Starbearer. Starbearers are those who uphold order, the rules of the house. They are very, very important. We know that they are treated very well. They are the eyes and the ears. They get a better room. They also have access to the grandfather. They get to go and see him. So he must pass down rules. They implement those of how he wants to run his ship. Makes that role very key. Kate decides that she wants to try and become a Starbearer. That would be a key role, trying to get access to the higher up, because right now we have absolutely no access to the grandfather. We know they hold meetings very often. But this week we have a jarring mystery, and most things going on in Shadow's house to me is just a giant mystery. But we have the name Christopher. Who is Christopher? And we get a very strong reaction from the current Starbearers. We know he's a previous Starbearer and we know he's a previous leader, but that is really all we get. We get a tease at the end of what he looks like. What happened? Where is he now? And why do we have such a strong, powerful reaction from the other guys to the fact that they're slamming a living doll and a shadow up against a wall? But it definitely seems to have made a mark on everyone around. We are introduced to some more fun characters this week, to Ollie and Oliver, the inventors of the group, focusing a lot on Starbearers. Starbearer, I think, is going to be playing a very key role during this season, and I think if we can get Kate into the position of Starbearer, I don't know if she can. It would be cool to see her making a move, because it's a very powerful move if she gets into that position, but obviously Edward really would not like that move. Ollie and Oliver, they have invented a soot hoover, at least a template, and they need to work on it. It's very interesting to see that all the Starbearers seem to have a slightly different role. Ollie is delving into the science fields, making things, whilst Barbara tends to be stricter, more firmer, but I think in her own way, I think she's wearing a mask, good obviously at emitting soot. There might be something more to her that we're not quite getting just yet. From what I can see, there are 4 Starbearers. I don't know if the number is key, whether we can have more than 4. Is it just limited to 4, or can we add more if certain requirements are hit? These Starbearers don't seem too keen on Edward, but they are only really carrying out the observation as requested just because he nags a lot, and they are just trying to have a quiet life, and there's a lot that they've got to get on with. So the robed figure or figures, is there multiple robed figures or is it just one person? We're not quite sure. I get the feeling it's probably just one person, because it feels harder to stay hidden if there's more of you. I feel like it is just one robed figure, but right now we know that there's no occurrences, no damage being done. They're just multiple sightings of that figure. We don't know what that figure's doing. Are they doing reconnaissance? Gauge the lay of the house, maybe? Starbearers decide that they're going to relate the idea that nothing happened to Edward. I'm not sure if that is in regards to Kate or the figure, because if they're saying nothing happened to both regards, it seems like that's a bit of a lie and they're covering up. Are the Starbearers willing to lie to Edward, a higher up? I do also wonder if the Starbearers, in a sense, maybe even play an even higher role than he does. It'd be interesting to see if I had a list of a hierarchy in the house where Edward stands opposite Starbearers, but I have a feeling they might even rank higher than he does. Barbara is said to be the replacement to Christopher. It does seem to weigh upon her, so she actually starts to show that it's bothering her. Would things be better if he was here? She does seem to be showing us a bit more of her as a character. Obviously, she's only really coming out with this to Barbie. It's showing us that as a character, she's not as confident as she puts out. She's wearing a mask, and yes, the ED is called Masquerade. Everybody's wearing a mask. Barbara inside seems to be uncertain of herself. She seems nicer on the inside than the mask that she's fronting, but I think she's putting on a very strong front, gaining respect. Maybe Christopher was a well-liked Starbearer, so she's trying to fill those boots and try and gain that respect that he maybe had. John and Sean are definitely our allies. At least relieved that we have two allies in this house, because sadly it doesn't seem like we're going to be getting any other allies yet. But it's nice to at least for now have two other allies that we can talk to. Not exactly subtle when he's asking the question, are you brainwashed? I love it. It's so open. It also reminds me a bit of Emilico. I do also like Sean. Sean is a great character. I love the way that him and Emilico are. So if they do end up being a pair, that would be great. Sean lures Emilico in with food. Well, that is the best thing to get her attention. She hugs him, and it is great because it must be a huge relief knowing that one of your friends is still them. They're still themselves. They're not brainwashed. You can talk to them, and I love the hug. I think it's actually quite a powerful little hug when she has a little bit of a cry as well. Soot coffee is a way of brainwashing a living doll, but it does seem to be temporary. And I like the fact as well that it does act a bit like real coffee. Soot coffee is addictive, gives you a buzz like real coffee. Coffee is full of caffeine and it gives you a buzz, and it can be slightly addictive because caffeine is very addictive. Putting soot into the coffee when it's already a highly addictive substance, very, very clever. It may be temporary for now. Maybe the more they drink, eventually they end up getting so addicted that they are easily taken over, because I think the goal, as we've been seeing with the higher ups, is they become one. That is the goal. They mind control the living dolls, break and be subservient, and then they take over their body and become one. Very scary realization that living dolls break. Two whole teams have now broken. Now, people are blaming Barbara and saying, well, she's driving them too hard and it's her fault. I'm not quite sure. It could also be more going on here. Does breaking mean death? What does this mean in the grand scheme of things? Because we know that these kids are being picked from a human village on the outside. They're all brainwashed. In the grand scheme of things, when the brainwashing maybe ends, they're going to realise that a lot of children have died. Seriousness of everything that's going on, which makes it even more creepy. And that's why I think I like the vibe of this anime, is we're dealing with something very serious. I feel uncomfortable. I love that vibe that they've built. Mind control is enhanced every single week with these rejoicing parties, which is all about keeping control. Mind control parties on a weekly basis, with this soot coffee being applied repeatedly, trying to get those living dolls to eventually break and allow the shadow to take over. Almost seemed like Lou was becoming herself again. She was breaking back to normality, but then she's redosed up. It does feel like we're losing our allies. I know they're still themselves. We get to a point when they can't talk or say bad things about the Shadow's house because it's all about keeping control. It does feel like we're losing our friends all around us, and the inevitability is, if we don't do anything, all the people around us will be slaves. They'll be taken over by the shadows, and we're going to lose them full time, which would also explain why we have a large amount of living dolls, but the older living dolls don't end up doing the cleaning work that we see. So that all the kids are in the kid wards, they're the ones who do the cleaning, and then once they graduate and we've got less living dolls around, the shadows take over the living dolls. They're no longer available to do the work. So right now we just have Sean. It does make me wonder, how long can you pull off the same stunt? At some point somebody's gonna swallow it by accident. How terrifying it must be for Emilico, who is completely sober, seeing and witnessing all around her and now recognising that this is brainwashing. This is exactly what it is, and being able to see it from a sober point of view is terrifying. I really like the way that everything just fades out and we get a nice transition back to Kate as Emiko is crying about the event. She may also need to start repeating the statement because she's going to be gaining suspicion if she's the only one not saying anything. The coffee must wear off after about a week, and that's when we need to reapply it. And we know that the star bearers are the ones who can do it, but we also know they can only apply a certain amount, so you can't drink a lot of the stuff. The natural step now is, can we try and get Kate and Emiko to become star bearers? I don't know if 4 is the limit, that you can only have 4, and maybe that's a very special number, you can only ever have 4. Is it possible to add another star bearer to them? Because it does seem that we have a star bearer for the kids. I think Oliver looks a little bit older, so maybe he's dealing with the junior section, and then you've got older again, and then they seem to be going up in age. If Kate did become a star bearer, so maybe not have anything to do, because they have roles, they're meant to keep law and order. If we have another one from the same age group, they would be sharing the responsibility, which I guess they could do it. It just seems like maybe you wouldn't need to have that many. It seems like having an extra one is unnecessary. We are introduced to Belle, and Belle is fascinating because Belle is twins. That makes me wonder if there are 2 shadow twins to replicate Belle working as a unit. I found it fascinating. We need to find a way of getting close to the star bearers. Rosemary does seem like she is the closest one to Barbara. That is highlighted in the ED. The ED is literally just those 2. Is it possible she could get close to Susanna? Maybe. She was able to cover up her suspicious behaviour, and Susanna doesn't seem to think she stands out very much, which is definitely handy. Oh, Susanna likes soot powers. That's her thing. She's obsessed with soot powers, and Kate has very good control of her soot powers. If Kate can impress her enough, it might be Susanna who is the one to recommend her, because it does seem that to become a star bearer you have to be recommended by someone. More references to Christopher and him doing something very bad, to the point that it seems taboo. You can't even mention the name. A living doll and a shadow has vanished. They're not there anymore, so we don't know what happened. Rosemary asks Barbara to dance because the OP is called Shall We Dance. Dancing does seem a very key thing, but they start dancing when Edward plays the piano. It does seem that dancing is very key. The ED is all about those 2, and the song may be about how they started to connect. When Barbara ends up getting emotional, we do see that explosion of soot, and that does start to make me wonder if it is an emotional thing that creates soot. Is it possible that Barbara really, deep down, her actual real self is actually somebody of wavering emotion? I don't want to go as far as saying that she's emotionally unstable, but maybe she is. Maybe that's the kind of person she really is, and that's who Barbara is. I do see that the shadows act differently from the faces. They may look the same, but they definitely have different personalities until they get taken over and they become one. Barbara seems to be very emotionally unstable, whilst you've got Barbie, who is very strong. She realizes she has to be strong for her, and she's very caring, and she becomes hardened because she wants to protect her shadow master. Christopher is hot, guys. Really hot. I don't know what happened to him, and I really hope we get to find out, but there is a nice tease of him right at the end. He's hot. If evil, why hot, guys? I also maybe wonder, is the robed figure him? Maybe his human self, maybe. It seems like we're mentioning him for a reason. What better to have him appear as the robed figure at the end? The ED is all about Rosemary and Barbara having a song maybe in the OP that reflects these 2. It's highlighting that these 2 are interconnected. There's the blue, there's the pink, both have got their own colours. The song Masquerade is perfect because everybody is wearing a mask, and maybe Barbara, more than anyone, is wearing a mask, because deep down she seems like a very nice character, but she's having to wear this very cold, scary front. But deep down she seems very, very nice, caring. She's sad and easily emotional when she wants to be. I love the link between the 2, and then the flowers diving down into the lake and then in the vase. I love full moons as well. The fact there's a full moon highlighting all of our characters. Secrets are going to come out. Secrets become in view. And maybe that is the point of this second season. We're going to start learning the secrets with Barbara and Rosemary. More secrets are going to come out. I love this anime, guys. You guys know it. I gushed about it when I wasn't even breaking it down on the channel. Last week, Shadow's House was the most viewed video on the channel. That makes me very happy because it means I can continue breaking it down. It means that people are clicking it. So there is a love for Shadow's House out there. That makes me very, very happy, because I'm happy that other people too realize that Shadow's House is worth watching and also enjoy it as well. Thank you guys so much. It means a lot. I hope you're having a really good weekend. It is very hot here in the UK. We're having record-breaking temperatures. It's just hot. If you are in the UK, stay safe, stay hydrated. Thank you so much, guys. Bye-bye.